Hi, everybody, and welcome into this week's show here on JTV and wherever you get your podcasts and online, jtv.tv. As always, thank you, Insurance Circle Agency, West Michigan's family-driven insurance solution provider, myinsuranccircle.com. I'm David. That is Adam.
Hello.
Hello. Tigers had a very disappointing weekend.
Man, that stunk. I was hoping they'd be competitive, but that just did not quite happen.
I went to the game on Saturday. Not a good outing by Troy Melton.
Not a good outing, and that's the first time you could say that in a long time.
Yeah. After the weekend, Tigers are now 60-64, swept by the White Sox Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. They did win 2 out of 3 against Cleveland before that, which was nice to get a few games closer, but then you're right there. You're only a couple games back of the division. Another huge weekend, and you get swept.
Yeah, not against a team you want to get swept by either, because we had a real good shot at taking a lead even after this series in the division, but it's not looking like that right now.
Yeah, and I think it was after either Friday or Saturday's games, Tigers were tied for the last wild card spot with the Rangers. The Rangers have also been losing, and so have the Tigers. So Baltimore's now in the 3rd spot.
Wow. But it's got to be super close. It's got to be within a game or so.
Yeah, so Detroit, Texas, Toronto, Minnesota, and Cleveland are all either 1 or 1.5 games back of Baltimore.
I mean, I will say this, trust me, I wanted to win the division, so this stings to win the division, but if you're going to lose to a team, I guess that's the team to lose to and not lose to one of these wild card teams where it is going to matter more just to get into the postseason. So I guess there's that.
So Tigers are on the road all this week, Monday through Wednesday. They are at Pittsburgh to take on the Pirates. Monday night's game on ESPN, Framber Valdez. And I don't know if Paul Skeens is pitching tonight or not. I would figure he would with it being an ESPN game.
Yeah.
But and then, Kansas City struggled this year, but because we got swept over the weekend, this has turned into kind of a big deal Friday through Sunday at the Royals.
I think it's a must-win. I'll say that.
You got to win at least 2 out of 3.
Yeah, I mean, it's a must-win series because they're not good, right? Like, you have to win this game. If you don't win, or this series, if you don't win this series, you're in deep trouble because this is not quite Colorado Rocky level, but it's close to that. So it's like you got to beat this team. You got to win this series.
Well, not just that, but you can't fall behind too much because Baltimore, Texas, Toronto, Minnesota, it's a 6-team race for 1 spot.
Yeah.
Because we know for sure the Rays and the Yankees are going to be in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
And the Mariners.
And I will say this, I'm not high on the Yankees in the postseason. I think, especially with these injuries going on, I don't think they have a good, but they're going to get to the postseason. So they're going to take a spot. But where the Tigers are at right now, every series is a must-win series. Not every game, but every series is a must-win series. And that's what I was hoping, dropping the first game in the series to the White Sox. I was thinking, okay, they can still win this series. That didn't pan out. But let's hope that these next few series they can get some wins. And then who knows? We might even still have a shot at the division. But I just want to get into the postseason. That's the first thing to do right now.
Yeah, and with the way the series went over the weekend, you had a chance to get in that wild card spot, maybe have a game or two as a cushion from the other teams, be in a really good spot, and tie or be close with the division lead.
Yeah, I mean,
all the above did not happen. And the game Saturday, just not good from the start. Bad outing from Troy Melton. White Sox looked really good just the entire weekend.
Yeah, and I mean, I took 2 things from the series. One, I mean, after that first game, we still had a wild card spot. So it was like, all right, not going to panic quite yet. But number 2, what a turnaround for the Chicago White Sox to lose the amount of games that they lost last year.
For them, it's been a great year.
I mean, it's been a big shock because I think a lot of people, other than having us at the top of the division, it was us and the Guardians. That was pretty much, and maybe the Twins in there. That was kind of what the odds were going into the season to win the division. Nobody thought the White Sox were going to go on this run, even with the free agent signings that they had. But they look like a very good team. Again, not, it's weird when you look at the run differential in Major League Baseball.
Right.
We're number 1 in run differential in the American League. We're number 1, and we're fighting for a postseason spot. It's pretty crazy. But then when you look at the National League, we're not even close to the top in the National League. It's what we've talked about previous weeks, how the National League looks stacked. That's going to be more of the postseason to look at that side of the bracket compared to the American League.
No,
but you might have teams like us kind of get in there,
I think for sure the World Series winner will come from the National League. I don't think there's a debate on that.
Yeah.
You have the Brewers and the Dodgers, and then even though the National League is good,
Braves, Phillies.
Braves and Phillies are right there, but Brewers and Dodgers
are the favorites for sure.
Phillies.
Yeah. I think the one team, of course, I'm rooting for us, but I think the one team in the American League that will make the World Series, I feel like Tampa Bay's got a really good shot. A lot of young guys, a lot of really good players on that squad.
Which has surprised some people.
Yeah, I think the Yankees were the clear favorites in the American League going into the season. So seeing somebody out of their own division, and honestly, 3 teams out of that division that have a shot, and none of them are the Blue Jays. I don't think we would have been able to predict that going into this season.
Had a great series over the weekend with the Brewers and the Dodgers.
Yes.
So that was good. Mizorowski had a fantastic outing on Saturday.
I've never seen, it's been a long time since I've seen a pitcher where a catcher doesn't have to move his glove from where he shows he wants the ball. Like, no need to frame up anything. That ball is going exactly where that mitt is. It's pretty insane.
And because he throws so hard at the beginning of games, you can clearly see when he slows down towards the end of his outing. Coming out right out the gate, it's all 104, 103, and it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
NFL news before we go to break. NFL preseason kicked off last week. And before that, had a great Hall of Fame game. I don't know if we ever talked about that.
That's
the most watched Hall of Fame game since 2020, I think.
Really?
7 million people watched it on NBC. Because I think, 1, people are missing football.
Yeah.
And 2, it's probably better than, a regular Wednesday night baseball game. That's
for a lot of people. Yeah.
Both Lions and the Packers looked terrible and both lost badly in their first preseason game. Teddy Bridgewater announced he's retiring from the Lions, so besides Jared Goff, Luke Altmaier, the draft pick from Illinois, and Josh Dobbs are the other 2 Lions quarterbacks. And for Green Bay, of course, getting rid of Malik Willis, their backups are Tyrod Taylor.
Oh, your boy.
Sean Clifford.
Who?
From Penn State.
The Big Red Dog?
Yes.
Okay.
Sean Clifford, the Big Red Dog.
Nice.
And Clayton Tune from the practice squad, who finished the year last year as the starting quarterback in the regular season.
I hope we get some Clifford in the regular season so the Big Red Dog, that nickname, can stick. That would be awesome. I saw what you did there.
No,
not on camera.
No, the camera's not on me. But
no, I saw what you did there.
Yeah, that's mean.
Why are you talking? I just wanted this nickname to stick. I think that'd be a great football nickname, the Big Red Dog.
Now, you want to see him in there because our season's over if that happens.
That's true. That is a point.
Lions also did not look good against Cincinnati.
It's preseason though. I mean,
but it's still kind of like there's some positions where the Lions need depth, and also you always want to figure out who you have as another quarterback if you need it. So preseason is still somewhat important. Especially in the secondary, the Lions really need help.
They do. But I always look at this in terms of like if the preseason matters. The year we went 0-16, we went undefeated in the preseason. I will always point towards that, where it's like it does not matter. Unfortunately, it does not matter.
Yeah, actually, yes. That popped up on something I was looking at the other day. It was teams that went undefeated in the regular season but were absolutely hot garbage in the regular season, and that was one of them.
Yeah. We didn't win a single game, and we couldn't be stopped in the preseason. So,
NFL preseason continuing, and the Tigers with a big week, 6 games on the road, Monday through Wednesday, and then the weekend. Today's show brought to you by Prate's Place in Grass Lake. Scan the QR code or order online, pratesplace.com. They've got live music. They've got Cornhole League each week and all the specials. You can get their burger and beer combo as well. Their new burger they recently added on the menu. It's really good. I've had it a couple of times.
I've had it. It's very, very good with a lager next to it.
Yep, that's a $14.99 combo you can get with their new Prate's Place lager.
That's a good deal, yeah.
So, thank you to Prate's Place in Grass Lake. We continue our countdown to JTV's 27th season of high school football coverage this year. So, coming up today, we'll have more media day interviews from Jackson High School. We'll have the Springport head coach, Ben Pack. They had a phenomenal season last year, best season in school history.
Yeah.
So we'll talk to him, and we'll talk to the head coach of the Panthers, Western coach Cody Bentley as well. So we continue our countdown to football. We are just a couple of weeks away.
Man, can you believe it?
I cannot, unfortunately. So we will get to that when we come back. Welcome back here on JTV. Thank you to the Insurance Circle Agency. Happy to have back on the show. It's close to football season, and that means time for next week. We'll have game picks and everything coming back. So happy to have back on the show ahead of the season. Southeast Michigan sports writer, also from the Blissfield Advance, and also the editor for this year's Overtime Plus magazine once again. So see the cover here. More teams in it, 54 of them this year. So
it's a lot.
Happy to have Doug Donnelly back on with us on JTV. Thanks for joining us again. How's the summer been for you?
It's been busy, but that's good. That's a good thing. And we added a few teams this year to the magazine, and better than ever, as they say.
Yeah, 54 this year. How many did you have last year?
49. I advertised it as 50 and put it on the cover, and then when I was all done, I realized there was a couple schools that had never returned their forms, and so I was short one. So 49 last year, 54 this year, and I'm hoping to get to 60 next year.
Yeah, I know. Of course, as more years of this come out, eventually adding teams. Because last year, I had a couple people ask me, that he has Cascades in there and some Big 8, but not like, Jackson or Northwest or anything. And I said, well, it's one person, I think, just you putting everything together. So already 54 teams in itself is a lot going on. So, it's great. I did reach out to Jackson and didn't hear back from their coach, and I reached out to their athletic director and tried that avenue too, and it wasn't successful. So, because I'd like to do all of the SEC white schools, especially because I got most of those in this year. But there's always just a few people that they don't necessarily know who I am, and they just receive an email back in late in May or early June. Like who's this guy kind of thing. But I'm getting out there, and more than the magazine is selling well, and it's available in lots of locations this year, a lot more locations this year. So as it expands and new people see it, I think it'll be a much easier task to start putting it together and reach out to these coaches in future years. Yeah. So again, 54 of them, and you can pick them up at any lightning quick location. So I picked mine up last week. I got 2, so one for me and you, Adam.
Appreciated that. Yes.
So I got that at West Michigan Ave here in Jackson. So a couple of things I took away from it to start off. One, Monroe St. Mary Catholic Central will have a new field. I did not know that field was owned by Monroe Public Schools until I read about that. And then Monroe Schools basically sold it. And I don't know if I'd call it leaving St. Mary like in the dust or not, but now they got to scramble. And so they're going to be playing, home away from home. And Jonesville's new field is now done, I believe. And then there's one other school too, Bronson, I believe, that has a new field.
Yeah, and Bronson will be on the road all season, I believe, while their new field is being built. And yeah, Jonesville, I believe, September 11th is their first game in their new field, which is pretty exciting for people there. That field looks, I've seen pictures, the field looks great. Yeah, St. Mary Catholic Central is an odd situation. They've been playing at Navarre Field for forever, and it's like a long time agreement between the school and Monroe Public Schools. And someone from like a nearby, maybe a rival school, if you will, purchased the field, purchased the property. From what reports that I heard was after they purchased the property, they pretty much told St. Mary Catholic Central they had to find a new home for football. And St. Mary's is attempting to do that. They're undergoing some fundraisers and things like that to build a new athletic complex kind of north of Monroe. But in the meantime, they're going on the road. They're going to play some of their home games at, Ida and Erie Mason. And I think some of their JV games are going to be played. Some of the downriver schools like Riverview has opened their doors to let them use the facility there. So for a couple of years, it's going to be sort of odd because St. Mary Catholic Central, a strong program, a powerhouse, if you will not have a home football field. So it's pretty strange.
Yeah, maybe Adam can go home to Riverview and watch some JV games.
I like that.
So, and also another thing I took away from this is 9 new head coaches this year. We have Addison, just to name a couple, Addison, East Jackson, and then former Western coach Dave Mifsud was at Parma Western here a few years back. He's the one who really started the revival of that program. And now he's coaching at Bedford. So what's it been like for you and some of the teams that you cover getting to meet, we have 9 new head coaches here.
Right. I first thing I did when Addison hired Casey Ruthenberg, I went out to their scrimmage, or not scrimmage, it's more like a workout. They missed most of their June workouts because they didn't have a coach at the time. But Casey came on board and had a camp in July, and I went out and met him, and Chad Duffing was there, who was the head coach at East Jackson and decided to leave there and become the offensive coordinator with Casey, the defense coordinator with Casey. So that was a really good introduction. He was a super busy guy, but trying to do a lot with that team. And so it was fun meeting him. As far as Coach Mifsud, he actually lives right near Bedford High School. He was saying when he got hired, or when the job opened in Bedford, he was like, well, he was still coaching at Woodhaven, which is in Brownstown, which is just north of Monroe County, like in Flat Rock area, downriver area. But Bedford was his home. He lived there. He was close enough he could see the field at nights. On Friday nights, if he was home, he could see the lights. And he thought, well, coaching basically in my backyard feels a little better than driving 30 some miles every day one way to work. So he accepted the Bedford job, which it's good for Bedford's had a good program the last 10, 12 years. Really, they've always been a playoff contender. Last year they had an unusual 5-6 record, which is really strange because they made the playoffs at 4-5 and then won a game, and then they lost in the second round. But he brings a Hall of Fame mentality with him, and he's changing everything. But Bedford's been a veer kind of offense the last decade or so, and he said new offense, new defense, almost an entire new coaching staff. So a lot will change there in Bedford.
There is a lot of conference changing as well, just looking at the magazine too, just for more. So the SEC is to me, the biggest one, going from just red and white 14 schools to now they're basically merging with members from the KLAA, which is huge. So they're going from 14 red and white divisions to 4 divisions and 27 school conference, which is huge. And then, of course, the Big 8 is changing, and the Cascades, the Great Lakes Conference, LCA, Huron League 2 with Monroe St. Mary going to the Catholic League. So we've seen this a lot in college football, too, the last few years, and now at a high school level. I wonder, to me, and you can chime in on this, I wonder to me if it's because of, like, now you have to get in the playoffs because of points, because Grass Lake a few years ago, just as one example, didn't get in the playoffs, even though they were 6-3, because they played Division 7 and 8 schools. So I wonder if that has anything to do with conferences changing.
I think football drives everything when it comes to conferences. So that, I believe, that is the number one reason for all of this. Probably is the football points. But there's some teams. Travel has to do with it. Monroe is moving down from the SEC Red to a different division when the SEC expands next year. They just haven't been able to compete lately with the SEC Red schools. In a lot of sports, they've struggled with playing Saline every year and with playing Ann Arbor Pioneer, Ann Arbor Huron, those types of schools. So they're dropping. They were looking to get out of the SEC altogether, but when this came into play with the expanded SEC, they took one of the spots in the new division. So, and that, of course, that doesn't start till next year. Monroe Catholic Central or St. Mary's Catholic Central, I think they've always kind of been asked by the Catholic High School League out of Detroit to join them. This is just the first time they've said yes, I think, but they've been courted by them for years and years. And I think it has made sense lately with the Catholic High School League. Of course, is a historic league and dates way back. And now, with Jackson Lumen Christi in the league and all the Toledo schools in the league, St. Mary Catholic Central kind of fits right in that path. So I think that was a natural kind of fit. Locally, the Big 8's going up to 9 schools this year with some additions. The Lenawee County Athletic Association will be dropping to 7 teams next year when Hillsdale moves to the Cascades Conference. And I talked to a couple of the LCA's athletic directors pretty frequently, and there's been really no. They had one school that they were talking to a little bit, but the vote never came, and so they're still stuck on 7s for next year. So we'll see what happens there. There's some things that I have in mind that that school seems like they'd be a nice fit for the LCA, but I don't know that they'll actually move into the conference at this point.
So with them after next year only having 7 teams, the LCA, I wonder, the I-8, the Interstate 8's in a similar situation because once Lumen Christi left, they were down to 7. And then when Northwest moves to the SEC, then they're down to 6 teams, which means in that case, you'd only play 5 league games and having to find 4 non-league games, and then same thing with the LCA. You have to find 3 non-league games. So I wonder at what point do they either have to add somebody, or it just becomes way too small to where everybody has to go out on their own.
Yeah, I don't. It seems to me like the rest of the LCAA is kind of locked in. Like none of the other 7 are looking to go anywhere. They all seem pretty happy with the league, and they've been members of the league for a long time. So I don't think that would be a case where one team leaves and it starts a snowball effect where other teams start getting out as well. I think the LCA, the other 7 teams are kind of locked in and like where they are. It's a matter of whether or not a team from another conference, maybe a Cascades Conference team, one of the bigger schools, might look at the LCA. I know there was some talk about Tecumseh joining the LCAA about 4 or 5 months ago, and that didn't pan out. So I think the LCA is still attractive to most schools. or to some schools, they have, good sports all around. They offer soccer and competitive cheer. They have a strong wrestling program throughout the league. So the LCA has lots to offer. It's just a matter of which team out there thinks that they'd want to move from where they're at to the LCAA.
And Doug, I got to ask, I was flipping through the magazine, and one of the ones that stood out was Leslie. And we talked about Leslie last time we did this, and we were pretty high on them. They had the good start, then they went up against Michigan Center, and that's kind of where it all fell apart. They had that long losing streak. What do you think happened last season, and what do you think is the outlook for this season?
Well, I think what happened was Joel Cranmore was injured, and that really affected them for a couple weeks. And they lost some close games. I think all three of those Cascades Conference losses were
they
a
had
touchdown or less.
Yeah, it was
three in
tight,
a row like that.
For sure.
And so that's basically what happened there. And he's healthy. I talked to Coach McCann going into the season, and he said he's super excited about having him healthy for the season. And they obviously have another big time weapon in Braden Johnson. So they really could be a bounce back team this year, kind of like what a Michigan Center team did last year or 2 years ago. Last year from 2 years ago, when they brought back their quarterback who was out with the injury, Hayden Hinkle.
Well, that was one of the teams I was going to bring up. I have some teams here that I guess I'm watching out for this year, and I have a couple who could be question marks. Adam mentioned Leslie. We don't cover Adrian on JTV, but Adrian won a playoff game last year for the first time in 10 years. 14 starters coming back, and they went 9-2. And then also, to me, it's them and Chelsea again for the SEC White. Chelsea's just dominated it, and I think they're the favorite again. And Adrian's not too far back, though. So Chelsea, Adrian, Hudson, obviously besides Beckett Campbell, who's, I would say, pretty good for them. They've got some skill coming back, too. So just besides our local teams from JTV, Adrian, Chelsea, and Hudson, to me, are teams to look out for.
For sure. Adrian is, they're really an up-and-coming program. They were down a few years ago, and I don't know, 5-6 years ago, they forfeited a playoff game because they didn't have, or I think it was 2020, during COVID, they didn't have enough players to field the game. Their numbers were down, but they are now like kind of rolling, and they have skilled kids. They have, linemen are dedicated to the weight room. That program has really turned around, and they have a quarterback and a running back last year, Luke Bruggeman, who's one of the players featured on the cover of this year's magazine. He had 1,700 yards rushing last year. Kind of a workhorse, kind of an old school workhorse running back that they just pound him like play after play with the ball. But he gets the job done, and they had a 1,000-yard passing quarterback too. So they got a really strong squad, and I do look to them to compete with Chelsea for that SEC White. The interesting thing about the SEC White is all the great quarterbacks in the conference. Tecumseh has a really nice quarterback in Chance Gormley. Jackson's quarterback is a dynamic player. Pinckney's quarterback, Jax Raymond, has some college offers, even though he missed almost all of last season with an injury. That conference is kind of loaded with quarterbacks. It'd be fun to see how they do. And the Chelsea kid, Jax Ishiko, I'm not sure how to say his last name, but he was almost I think he was a 1,000-yard passer and a 1,000-yard rusher last year. So lots of dynamic quarterbacks in that league.
And yeah, I'm just looking at the magazine here. Beckett Campbell for Hudson may have had the greatest season for any running back in Lenawee County history. 2,453 yards rushing. That's a Lenawee County record, and 36 touchdowns. 12.5 yards average per carry.
Ooh, man.
Yeah. And then a couple teams from our coverage area. Mentioned Leslie. Napoleon should have another strong year. Two teams for me that I have a question mark for. One being Michigan Center. They had a really good year last year, especially after the way the year before went, making the regional final. They ran into a just phenomenal Jefferson team, who also has a big rusher on their own team. But they have a lot of new faces, and not a new quarterback, but a different quarterback. He has experience, though, so that helps. But Michigan Center to me is a question mark, and the other team is Columbia Central. Last year they went, I think, 5 or 6 wins, just missed out on the playoffs. They probably would have made it in if they would have beat Napoleon Week 9. So they're getting better the last 2 years. First winning season in quite a few years for them. But they just couldn't finish close games, and they just missed out on the playoffs. So for me, those two are teams that I have question marks on, and we'll see how they do to start the year.
Yeah, Columbia Central, they had a 4-game win streak there at the end of the season, but they lost late to Napoleon and didn't get the playoff spot. But Coach Dylan Zaborowski really is high on this year's team. He's looking to them. They have a good senior class. They have a couple of really good running backs, solid running backs, and they're the type of team. If you look back a couple of years, those teams that have those close losses one year often seem to turn that around the next year after that as their kids get older and more experienced. And I think that could be the case with Columbia Central this year. I think they could be. I think they're a solid playoff team, and I think they'll get in this year. As far as Michigan Center, yeah, Trey Collins is the new quarterback. Of course, he was the quarterback 2 years ago when Hayden Hinkle went down with an injury. He stepped in his place, but now it's kind of his role. But yeah, I mean, I think Michigan Center is one of those teams that seem to be good year after year. I think they'll just put some new people in some places, and I think they'll continue to be very good. They have a really good linebacker, Braylon Villarreal. Had a set school record last year for tackles with 157. That's a lot of tackles, but they did play, I think, 13 games. But they got enough pieces around Collins, especially. I think that I don't think they're going to skip too much of a beat this season. I think the Cardinals are going to be pretty good.
Well, week 1 is quickly approaching, and our first game that we're going to be covering is Western Jackson. That was week 1 last year, which was a great game. What do you think about this matchup? Who do you think is the favorite here?
Well, it's interesting because Western's going to be joining the SEC White, correct? Next year.
Northwest.
Oh, that's Northwest. Okay. I was thinking of the wrong school. Jackson has that quarterback that's out. I think last year, in the first play of the season, he broke free for like a 69-yard touchdown run or something like that. So what a way to start the year for that. But that's a kind of a toss-up. But I think Jackson might be a team on the rise.
A couple other week 1 games that I'm interested in. Hudson at Hanover Horton. Now, head coach David Messer for Hanover went to Hudson, so there's a home connection there. Obviously, Hudson made the state final Division 8. Another really good year for them, lost to a phenomenal Harbor Beach team. And then Hanover, obviously coming off their best year ever, making the regional final, first ever district title. And they only lost by 1 score to a always solid Schoolcraft team. So I'm interested to see Hudson Hanover. They both run somewhat similar style of offenses. That might be a really quick game. Games at 7, you might be leaving there by 8 o'clock with all the running the ball. So Hudson Hanover. Another one's a Big 8 matchup, Springport and Bronson. Springport, they have a lot of new faces this year, so I'm interested in them too. And then another one that catches my eye, Napoleon hosting Montague week 1. Montague played Lumen in a D6 final, I think 2017 or 18, and they've always been solid. And then Lumen and Detroit Edison. So those are just a couple for me.
Yeah, the Hanover Horton Hudson game, that looks like a real dandy. I really like to see that game myself. The reason, I mean, I think, Hanover Horton had some, struggles over the years, but the last few years, they've obviously been really good. They won the Cascades Conference last year. And the reward is they play Hudson in week 1 and Monroe St. Mary Catholic Central in week 9. I don't know who's got it in for Coach Messers, but that's a tough schedule
for them
this season. That's plus the guy they got to go through the Cascades Conference and maybe in the Cascades Conference Championship in week 8, and then you get a Saturday afternoon game if that happened, and then they got to take on St. Mary Catholic Central in week 9. So that's tough for them. But Hudson is a team that could win Division 8 state championship. They have an offensive lineman, Cohen Hinsman, who's going to Iowa State. I've heard recently, and I haven't confirmed this with Coach Rogers, but that he's not playing basketball this year because he will graduate in December, and so he can enroll early at Iowa State. He's 6'7", 295, outstanding football player, and I would think if Beckett Campbell needs a yard, that's who he'll be running behind this season. And Hudson's biggest question mark is probably a quarterback position. They had Colt Perry the last couple of years, who really did a nice job with that offense, running that their the T formation, and they run they break the huddle, they sprint to the offensive line, and they take their snaps. Colt did a great job, and there's a couple replacement possibilities for Hudson, but if they figure that position out early on, Hudson really could have another one of those undefeated regular seasons and roll into the playoffs.
All right, before we go, where can people find Overtime Plus and any other info on that?
Yeah, in the Jackson area, I would say any of the Lightning Quick Gas and Go stations is your best bet. I delivered a lot of them myself, so I know they're out there, and we've been restocking them every couple of days as well. So get out there and find the magazine. If you have some trouble, you could look me up on Twitter, and I can help you direct where to go to find one. We have on the kind of the east side, we have 5 new locations that have the magazine in Monroe area, and maybe later this week, I'll have a couple places in Jackson that might be able to sell the magazine as well. It's also available at Bob's Market in Hudson, which is a new place from last year as well. So the distribution is expanding, which is great, and we are looking forward to keeping it going.
Yeah. Again, here it is, holding up the cover here for those that are watching. So find the blue magazine, big Overtime Plus right on the top.
That's
I don't
right.
think you can miss it.
You can't.
54 team previews and schedules and all the fun stuff in there for each team. So, of course, we always appreciate our partnership with the magazine and JTV. You can find some of our pictures in there, plus our broadcast schedule. We don't have all of our games out, but as many of them confirmed, so we have that in there as well. So, as always, thank you. We'll have you back on throughout the season for some game picks and some catching up. And I hope to see you at a few games in person this year. So thanks again, Doug. Appreciate it.
All right. I appreciate you guys having me on. Thank you.
Doug Donnelly here on JTV. We'll be right back. JTV High School Football Media Days here at Jackson High School. Happy to welcome back to the show again this season Ben Pack, Springport Spartans, going into his 3rd year at the helm of the Spartans. Coach, thanks again. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Historic season for the school last year. 11-1, first district title. Lost to Hudson, the regional final. Lots of all-state and region conference recognition. How fun was that for you last year? I know each week you're focused, on the task at hand, the X's and O's and trying to win, but how fun was that for you and the other coaches and the kids and the history you made last year?
Well, I think the fun came in, after the season was over and you look back at all the things you were able to accomplish. Obviously, going through it, you try not to dwell on, what's happening right that moment, but like you said, stay focused on the task at hand. But during the off season, you look back and you really get a perspective of what happened. And so in the Springport community, for that to happen, obviously there was a lot of enthusiasm and in first. And so, it was exciting and, just a tremendous experience for everybody in the community.
You made it to the regional final. I had to go down and take on a very, very good Hudson team.
Absolutely.
They've always been exceptional. They've always been a contender. What did you learn from that game and making it that far into the postseason? And obviously, at some point, hey, we're playing a really good team who's always a contender, and we're here for the first time?
Well, I think that the first thing I learned, and I've said this to many people over the last year, Hudson was a team that kind of competed in a lot of different divisions, and they
Right,
were
yeah.
they were a bona fide outfit with bona fide kids.
Because they're just such good with their fakes and their deception
Yep.
and running the football.
And they had a group of linemen that were very exceptional, and they had a couple coming back, but in their backs, and it was a machine. But they had players over there that were very competitive. Could have been in any division.
So for you, it was a big jump from year one to then year two last year. How has the program gotten even better after last year to go into your third year now?
Well, let's take strength, for instance. Strength doesn't happen just overnight, and you can't
Right.
do it within a year. So as we do our strength testing, I mean, we're seeing results right now of lifting for 3 years consistently, okay? We test our kids every quarter to keep them focused on the task at hand. And because of that, our data shows that, we've got a senior class that's senior strong, and we've got a junior class that's junior strong. And so the kids are a product of their environment that's been pretty consistent over the last 3 years. So that's exciting. The other thing that's exciting is the fact that when we go out to practice, we're not starting from scratch. Okay,
Right.
It's the kids have an semblance of what plays are and fundamentals are. Even the first day that we started back in June. And so that's exciting because, as you've heard me say about, our 1,000 rep club, you don't get to be
Right.
good until you get 1,000 reps where your body doesn't have to think about it. You just got to go out and do it. And so our kids are there. They've got those 1,000 reps, and now it's going out and really applying the strength and your speed and all those things that you've worked on throughout the year with the knowledge you have and the body mechanics for your techniques to go out and compete.
Coach, you guys run the shotgun wing tee. What do you think is the most important thing to focus on practicing, and obviously when it's game time? What do you think the most important thing to focus on to effectively run that offense?
No, it's the snap. There, without question. I think that we put a lot of effort into our center, which will be new this year, because that's the essence of starting to play. It's not like we're under center and they just hand it to the guy. And so the timing of that with the things we do offensively to run the ball, just handing it to our halfback, and then, but more importantly, the timing of the snap in accordance with when we give the ball to our motion guy. Okay. All those things are things that have to be worked on, and like I said, our kids have a good understanding of the concept of the play, but it's the nuances of the timing that really have to be worked out each year.
How will the playoff game experience that you guys have had from the last couple of years, how will that help some of the younger guys that are stepping into some new roles this year?
Well, again, we bring all those kids with us. It's just been a philosophy of mine. Whether a player gets in a game or not, they've had that extra week of practice during the playoffs last year. They got to experience the locker room and running on the field and being on the sidelines, and after the celebrations after a playoff game, and they got to experience the heartbreak. And so I think all those things are key factors in helping kids understand I've been there, I've done that, and so it's not a first moment. They don't get caught up in the moment type of thing. And so I think that we'll be a little bit more versed in that this year.
Numbers been good this summer?
Our numbers very good. We've actually got our senior class is the smallest class in the school system, but our juniors, sophomores, and freshman class are very large, and so we're somewhere in between, depending on a couple of freshmen that are still out there that signed up and been in the summer once or twice. They just haven't quite got it yet, but somewhere around 52 to 48 kids, and so it's good numbers, very solid for a school our size.
Tell us about some of the new faces we might see this season. You're going to have a new quarterback, one new running back, and a couple of new receivers.
Yeah, so the new quarterbacks, we've got 3 right now that they're in the process of determining who's going to earn the spot. And the first one is Gibson Overway's brother, Rip. He'll be a sophomore, and we've got a junior, Tanner Severns. And again, Tanner got all the snaps last year. When games we've got our backups in. He was the quarterback, took every snap last year, and so he's got a little bit of varsity experience. And then we've got Jake Kriegel, who returns from an injury from basketball during his sophomore year. That had some snaps at quarterback as a sophomore, but then was more of a receiver. We used him more as a receiver, but he's interested in taking some snaps at quarterback, and we haven't ruled that out yet. So we'll see where that goes.
What are your team goals for this year?
It's win one game at a time, and I know that's cliche, but I tell the kids my axiom is the power of one. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And I say the power of one is win. Well, what's win? What's important now? And so whether it's geometry class or football practice or basketball practice or math class, whatever you're doing right there in time, you know what I'm saying, talking to your parents, that's where your focus should be. And the kids that can transition like that I find are the most successful kids, throughout life.
Yeah, I was actually just going to bring that up. Your motto last year was win what's important now, and I imagine that still applies to this group of kids this year and everything that you guys do.
That's one of the pillars of our program. I mean, it's that power of one win, and you've got to focus. And I think that's one of the things that helped us last year. In the Union City game, obviously we were struggling a little bit damp night. The field was terrible, and they had a great game plan to get a good team, and so being behind there in the fourth quarter, again, that when you harp on that time and time again, just focus on a play at a time. Don't worry about the outcome. It allowed us to build ourselves back to being able to be a shot at taking the lead. And then, getting 2 touchdowns, and then, holding them on defense for the first time the entire night, and then getting the ball and driving the field and making the kick to win the game.
When you look back at the years that you've been coaching, I imagine it doesn't get old for you, does it?
Oh, it never gets old. And the thing that doesn't get old is we always have a brand new group of kids. And so the beautiful part about coaching is obviously it's not money or the minimal hours that you have to do it,
right.
Because their days are filled. But when kids do things they didn't think they could do, and you see that aha moment in their eyes, that's what it's all about. And helping kids. I mean, helping kids grow. And like I said, the things they learn in our program, we'd hope they would take on, carry them throughout life.
Do you still find new things or new challenges all these years later?
Oh, absolutely. Like I said, it's a brand new group of kids, and so we're, one year we might be focused on one position group, and next year we're focused on a different position group, or it might be, that we've got to get everybody, stronger, faster, or whatever it is. But it never gets old. There's always a challenge, and if you really, and that's, I think we're, a lot of coaches do this. You reflect. You know what I'm saying? This is where we're at. Here's the honest to God truth of where we're at. Okay, good or bad, and so you just accept that and you move on and you fix it. And so that's the fun of it.
You had 5 games last year where your defense pitched a shutout, didn't allow a point. What are your expectations for the defense this year?
Our defense has got some good players, and some of those players their positions going to be shifted. And so whether they got reps last year in defense or not, their positions are going to be shifted. And the reason for that is just because we've got to have certain players at certain positions to have a good defense. And so we've already started getting those kids in those spots, and they're getting reps. And so we've got to have those kids grow quick. So once we get into camp, and start hitting those type of things.
What does this team need to do over this next month to get ready to go and start 1-0?
Well, I think the big thing, in camp, one of the big things is the team chemistry piece. And we got a lot of kids because we're a small community that are friends, but it's still a school system, and they come from different environments, different backgrounds, and so there's still that chemistry piece that we still need to put together. And that can only come. I tell the kids, you can only build chemistry if you're working side by side with somebody. Okay, you're going to develop that relationship. You're going to develop that trust, and once you start to develop that, that's really the mojo that's going to take you on throughout the season.
Coach, best of luck this season, and as always, appreciate the time. So thank you very much.
I appreciate it. Thank you,
Coach Ben Pack, Springport here on JTV. JTV High School Football Media Days. David Rice Show here at Jackson High School with the head coach from Parma Western, Cody Bentley, going into his second year. Coach, good summer so far?
Yeah, it's been awesome. We've had great turnout. The kids have been super motivated. I think every summer you just try to start to figure out your vibe as a team, see how kids mesh together. I really feel like we've had a lot of positive energy, seniors and juniors having great relationships, sophomores, interacting with the freshmen with seniors. So I feel like it's been a great summer just to see how the personalities are meshing. And, it's been a good summer.
Last year, your first year as the head coach, I know you were with the program before, but 2-7 last year. I know that's not the record that you and the guys wanted, but just talk a little bit about last year, with it being your first year as the head coach. Younger team, couple of different assistant coaching changes, and one thing that stood out to me was 5 games that came down to 1 score.
Yeah, so you look at last year, and 2-7 is not what we want. It's not part of our expectations. And our seniors, that was a great group of kids. And we talked a lot about as the season went, and even afterwards, that we're in those games, and a lot of those games to be able to change the whole season around. So I really look at the little things, and as a first-year head coach, there's things I wish I could go back and redo, but that's not how things work. And I really think that my big focus has been in this off-season has been to evolve my approach to the game so that next year those close games, they go our way, and I give our kids the best opportunity to experience playoff football because there's nothing better.
How much more comfortable are you now that you've had the full year as head coach?
Yeah, when you're becoming a head coach, you have an idea of what you think it is, right? Mm-hmm. Like you see especially I worked for Nick Rulowitz, you see what you think it is, but when you become the head coach, you find out what it really is. So you start to triage things that you thought were important maybe aren't as important, and things that you didn't think were important are super important. So I think that's the biggest thing going into year 2 is I have a better feel for what a program needs to be successful, and being able to evolve the program every year. I'm in a constant feedback loop personally, an OODA loop of sorts of looking at, hey, where are we at, where are we going, what do we need to get there, and I think that's been different for me.
So you lose a couple of big pieces from last season, but you've got your quarterback coming back. You've got Andrew Parrott at tight end. You've got a couple of guys in the line. So what excites you the most about the guys coming back and the leadership that they bring?
I think what excites me most is that there's a lot of names that you maybe didn't hear in years past that are going to be pivotal pieces this year. We have young kids that we're bringing up who are, very talented. We have seniors that just grew over the offseason who have been so impressed with how they've changed their bodies, their work ethic. They've gotten older, like you become older, you get faster, you get stronger naturally. So I think that my excitement for this team is that you have a group of kids who know the expectation isn't 2-7, and they know that in order to fix that, it takes a different mindset. We're all living in this same ever-changing mindset together. And the kids, they're good at it. We don't give kids enough credit. And they're picking up in live speed what needs to change. So I'm excited to see how this team adapts as we move into the season.
Both of your coordinators will be new as well. You get Tony Panici, who was at Lumen Christi before, now calling your guys' defense. Is that weird for you not calling the defense anymore?
Yeah, I took a lot of pride in, as a play caller. And I had a lot of fun over the last few years, and we've had some success. So on a personal level, heck yeah, I'm going to miss calling defense because it's just, it's fun. And it's something I'm a football nerd, and I spend a lot of time on it. But at the same time, I have no ego about it. I know that for this program to evolve, I had to evolve to be more of just a head coach. And when you have an opportunity to hire a guy like Tony Panici to be the defensive coordinator, a guy that I really respect, I thought it was a perfect opportunity to kind of let it go. So, and it's best for our kids. And at the end of the day, whatever's best for our program, best for our kids, I'm going to always choose that.
How do you approach having both new coordinators? Because it's just going to be your second year as the head coach. So trying to continue to build this thing, but then you bring in new coordinators.
Yeah, so the team vibe and the way the team represents itself will always be me. They'll always be on me. And what I've really pushed for Tony and Eric is that take control of your side of the ball, put your fingerprints on it, but at the same time within the framework of what our program represents, what I believe our football program should represent. So I'm excited to take on this new role for them, to be truly based on the little things. While they're coaching up scheme, I can really be on the effort. I can coach effort and coach, the fundamentals of being what makes a good football team. So I think that it'll be a change for me. But at the end of the day, it is my job to make sure this program's a representation of our district, of our community, and of my vision as the head coach.
And Coach, is there a game on the calendar right now that you kind of circled and said like, hey, this is a big one or this is one to look out for?
Jackson.
Yep.
That's where it starts. We have to start with Jackson. They're going to be a heck of a ball team this year. They're returning a lot of guys too. They got a lot of speed. They have a great coach. So honestly, to me, that is a game that we have to show up at, and we have to show our new mindset. And you can't win. You can't win the next one if you don't win the first one, right? Like as far as getting to the point where we need to get back to the playoffs, to be a conference champ. All that is good and great, but if you get too far ahead, week one will sneak up on you and it'll get you. And I've seen a lot of teams lose week one, and it takes sometimes a second to come back from that. So it is my focus for this team and our coaching staff, our kids, to feel the success of winning week one.
And I think that was last year, right? That it was the Western Jackson
last
week
year.
one, and that came down to the wire at the very end. That was an exciting game.
Yeah, the last two times they played one score game last year, and then I think time before that, not the ending you guys wanted, but the playoff game here. So, and plus you get two of the three biggest schools in the area here. So, what does this team need to improve on the most from last year's record to get better and stack up more wins?
We have to earn back this idea that winning isn't easy. We have to develop a swagger about ourselves. I feel like winning is truly intoxicating, and you had a program that didn't win for a while, and then when it started winning, it was easy to sell it, right? It's easy to sell to people, hey, show up, work hard, right? But then you start to get into that little bit of that climb, and when it drops off, how do you respond? And I think we kind of hit a moment where maybe success wasn't as easy. So who are we at the end of the day? How are we going to respond? And that's what I'm excited for this team to work through.
And I'm assuming some of the same things. What do you guys need to do over this next month to get ready for week one? Just continue to get better?
Step by step, control what we can control, have a great first 2 weeks of practice, win the scrimmage, and then go into the game with the mindset that we are chasing success.
Well, Coach, we will see you guys week one live on JTV here at Jackson High. So good luck this season, and we're looking forward to week one. So thanks for a few minutes with us.
Hey, no, thanks for having me. Anytime you guys want to have me back, I'd love to come talk ball.
Yeah, absolutely. Coach Cody Bentley from the Western Panthers here on JTV. So you can catch more Media Day interviews from coaches, players, and everything from Media Day on our website at jtv.tv, plus on our social media as well. So, and then, of course, again, week one on JTV, Friday, August 28th. So that is 12 days from now.
Yeah, it's fast approaching, and I'm excited about this week one matchup. I was excited last year. I'm really excited for this one.
Yeah, rematch from week one last year. Jackson hosting Western this year. Withington Stadium came down to the last play. Last year, Western won at home by a score. That ended up being one of their 2 wins last year. And then beating Northwest.
Yeah.
So, still a couple of good wins, but I know Western wants to have a comeback season, and it's got to start with a packed house. It's going to be a packed house.
It's going to be a fun game to watch. Good atmosphere. Definitely, if you can't make it, got to watch the live broadcast or catch the replay. And just a reminder, all of our games, when they conclude, by the end of that night, will be uploaded to our JTV Sports in full, JTV Sports YouTube channel, so you'll be able to watch the full games on there, as well as the weekend.
Yes, JTV Sports Jackson on YouTube. So if you go there, right now we have full games from football and basketball and a couple baseball on there from previous broadcasts as well. So a couple other quick things. Field of Dreams game for MLB was last week.
Yeah.
It was on Netflix, and they did a very poor job of promoting it.
I didn't even know it was happening. And I love that game. It's one of my favorite games to be able to watch. I think it's just the coolest look and kind of fits Netflix being like more cinematic and stuff like that. But I didn't know until I saw the upload on YouTube that this happened. Was it the same for you? Because I didn't know about it.
Well, I saw their promotion for it, their post earlier that day, but not really anything besides that. And, for a tradition game like that, you want to try to build it up. Mm-hmm. But I think also people don't go to Netflix to watch a live sporting event. I know they're getting more into it, but it's not really what Netflix is for.
Yeah.
And NBC is taking over Field of Dreams next year.
Perfect, because they're going to actually promote it, and they have the network TV side of it, but also you can watch it on Peacock too. So if you don't have cable, don't have television, you can still watch it. So I think that's a good compromise, kind of best of both worlds. Now, did you happen to see The Open at all?
No, I did not.
They did the same thing as they've done years prior.
They run out of the corn?
Everybody come out of the cornfield, which looked really cool. So they had all the players come out, and then with the Kevin Costner narration, they all came out. They all went towards the beginning of the field, like over by the backstop and stuff like that. And then they had all these old players come out. And they had guys like Cal Ripken Jr. and Pudge and all really cool players. They did it was like two full teams pretty much of guys. And they did an introduction for each of them. I thought it was really cool. That needs to stay. I think honoring these guys that have just are amazing. Cal Ripken is a legend, and he got the reception for a legend. So it was cool seeing those guys again. That's something they should do all the time, since you don't really see that much anymore, especially at all-star games. They used to do that. So really cool. Definitely you should watch it on YouTube if you get a chance.
Yeah. Couple other quick headlines. Coach LaFleur says Love has a high ankle sprain.
Oh no. Clifford,
Nope, wait.
The big red dog is
No,
in.
wait, hang on.
Okay.
Cardinals head coach Mike LaFleur says Jeremiah Love has a high ankle sprain.
Oh, you got me. That is amazing. Dang it, no. I heard Love and I got so excited.
No, Jeremiah Love.
Oh.
Dick.
Well, for everybody playing fantasy football, I hope that doesn't impact his draft position.
I do apologize if something happens. PGA Tour, the playoffs just opened with the first playoff event over the weekend, the St. Jude Championship. Scotty Scheffler, a dominant win by 8 shots.
Wow.
To open it up. So he was only up by 1 shot at one point on Sunday. And he had so many close finishes this year, and he's only had a couple of wins and just dominated this weekend. So, women's basketball, WNBA legend Diana Taurasi had her number 3 number retired last night. And real quick.
Uh-oh. I know what this is going to be.
Speaking of numbers, I just got to bring this up.
Okay.
I think you know.
I might.
Jaden Daniels.
Okay.
Did you hear about this?
Yes, I did.
So somebody on LSU this year is going to wear number 5. Of course, Jaden Daniels wore number 5 at LSU. He won a Heisman there, blah, blah, blah. He says he deserves to have his number not be taken anymore. So he is very upset. He was very upset to start that somebody was going to wear his number. This turned into a whole weekend of memes.
Yes, it did.
On the internet. There was one baseball team who won by a score of 5-1. I forget which team it was, and they tweeted their graphic with the final score, and they were like, "I hope this doesn't hurt Jaden Daniels that we scored 5 runs today." And it was just stupid stuff like that.
But,
that
like,
just continued
does
on.
the player...
It's funny.
Oh, it's funny, but, like, the player... that was a horrible idea for him to have come out and said that. Sure,
Oh, totally.
That's how he could feel. But you know how many players that I've seen that get their numbers taken by a new player, and they're like, "Hey, I'm happy about this." Like it
Carry
puts
on
me
my
in the
legacy
and
kind
it
of
puts
thing.
me in the conversation again, where people compare me to that guy. Like that should be a good thing. Jane Daniels had one really good year with them. That's it. This isn't the Travis Hunter, Shadur Sanders weird situation that they
Which
did in
they
Colorado.
probably want their number retired too. But
Didn't Travis Hunter get his number retired? I feel like there was some sort of controversy. I don't know if both of them did, but there was some sort of controversy about them getting their numbers retired like months after they stopped playing there. It was like some weird thing with that. But it's the organization. If they feel like you're valuable enough, they will retire your number. Especially when we're talking about a good number like that, and when we're talking about college and the history of LSU football. Like, I don't know, craziness.
So, New York Mets won on Saturday 4-1 over the Nationals, and they
Okay.
posted their graphic with the final score and said, "Stopped at 4 out of respect for Jaden
Oh my
Daniels."
goodness.
These are all great. So the guy who's actually wearing the number said, "I'm not changing numbers. They gave me this number before I got on campus. Tell him to go cry to his mom."
Whoa, let's go. I like this guy.
So yeah, these are just all fun. It's being reported by some that Jaden Daniels forced the Teddy Bridgewater retirement because he wore number 5 for the
my
Lions. So, also real quick, some more state of Michigan news. Michigan State University is hiring Western Michigan's athletic director,
Oh,
Dan Bartholomew. Sorry if I said that wrong. So,
it sounds like you might have gotten it.
Michigan State's new athletic director stealing from Western.
Interesting.
He's moving on up in the world
Yeah.
from a MAC to a Big Ten. And with the way that their athletics program has been over the last handful of years, not saying Michigan has been any better, they certainly need somebody to move them in the right
Yes.
direction.
Yes.
So, just like the last few hires, we'll see.
We will see.
So, thank you to Prate's Place. Thank you to the Insurance Circle Agency. Of course, subscribe to JTV Sports for free.
Yes.
Now that we are back to high school sports next Monday, the 24th.
Yes. And also on YouTube as well. Gotta plug the YouTube.
Yes.
Whenever I can.
And JTB.sports on Instagram.
Hey,
too.
there you go.
So, thank you to Prate's Place. Thank you to the Insurance Circle Agency. We will be back next week with 2 shows next week.
Woo! Let's go.
We are back, so we'll see you then.
Bye-bye.